Hi everyone, in this video I'll continue assembling this frame bike and start working with the fork. I'm gonna need a steering column from the donor. I'll also need two crossarms that will hold aluminium pipes of the fork. The test detail was cut from the plywood on the CNC machine. It perfectly fitted the frame. For the fork I took a 40 mm thick aluminum pipe with a 1.5 mm wall. After fitting the template we need to cut these parts from aluminum. For this purpose I bought 10 mm aluminum circle at the scrap metal point. I'll use my CNC machine which isn't supposed to cut metal, but I'll still try. There will be one more test. For the milling cutter cooling, I'll use a penetrating lubricant. The spindle stroke was 20% of the normal speed, and the material removal 0.3 mm per pass. The process was slow, but instead the detail turned out exactly the same as was created in the program. It's not so relevant for the crossarm as the accuracy here is not that important. But if you cut the gears, that's what you need. With the use of WD-40 the surface became normal. I decided to try thick grease. I found the compressor oil. With such lubricant the passage became more even and cleaner. That's the kind of detail we got. Though long enough, but the machine has done its job successfully. Now we need to make a clamp in the crossarm from each hole. For this purpose I drilled some holes and cut threads in each one. In order the hole was working as a clamp, it needed to be cut. I finished with the crossarms, now we need to try on pipes in them. I immediately sawed the pipe in two parts and inserted them into the crossarms. We got a light aluminum fork. In order to fix the wheel on the pipe's ends I made two dropouts from aluminum shaft. I'll make them on a lathe. We need to grind down the excess metal from the ingot so we can insert it into the pipe. Now we need to treat another part according to the outer diameter of the pipe. Then I drilled the holes for the axis of the front wheel and a large hole for the nut which will be hidden inside the dropout. I made the second part longer as the brake disc support would be attached to it. There's only left to stick them into the pipes with epoxy glue. I screwed a bolt-like fixator just in case. This is how we got those aluminum dropouts. The next step will be a process of the head tube attaching to the frame. We need to weld 2 corners to it, and before it we'll screw them to the frame. Everything is ready for assembling. I fixed the steering pipe in the lower traverse and began to assemble the steering column. The pipe needs to be slightly shortened and the anchor nut transferred. Instead of it, we can place a stud through the entire steering column. I fastened the assembled fork to frame and put bike on the floor. Everything was good, but the ground clearance didn't suit me. For its increase, I'll turn the rear fork on couple of degrees counterclockwise. Thus the ground clearance will increase doubly. It's time to make the seat. For this purpose I made a bracket from the metal sheet on which there'll be welded the suspension seat post, and we put a seat upon it. By the way, if you cover a bracket with a foam rubber, you could get quite good seat as one from the Cross motorcycle. I took the dowel from the donor and bought a new seat as the old one became unusable. As the resetting was not provided, it was time to check the fit. It fitted my height as well. For will we need to make fastenings as like the crankshaft stirrup. Aluminum plate will serve as the material. The wheel can be handmade or taken from the donor. I'll try 2 variants. I made the necessary will bend from the 15th tube with notches. At once I removed the excess tube's radius as it prevented the wheel installation. The wheel is on its place. It's possible to check it in work. It's quite a good wheel, but it's necessary to weld and grind it. I tried to fix a wheel from the donor. It was a bit lower, but it was possible to ride with it too. I will leave it so far. Put on pedals and chain of the necessary length. It touches the prominent bolts a little. I'll replace them with another ones. I put on a switch on the back axis and a handle from it on the wheel. That's how 3 speeds will be switched. I'll also strengthen the back fork with halves of the 15th pipe. The bicycle is almost ready. Now we need to ground and paint it. I partially dismantled it for this purpose. That's also why I decided not to put bolts on the thread fixator, and now I won't do it as I've already ordered an aluminum sheet for the frame. And this frame will remain as prototype. For the same reason I won't ground it except some details. After painting, I assembled everything and went for test. Unfortunately, I had no chance to shoot the writing process because as soon as I began to shoot, the frame burst, and it became impossible to continue the test. But still, I'm all the same happy with the work done. Now I plan to replace Textilite by aluminum, and everything will be fine as the other nodes are already prepared. After all, I managed to ride on it about 500 meters, and I pretty liked it. So probably did the passersby who couldn't resist gazing the framed bike. I'll probably start all this alteration in the next season, and will also set an electric motor in it. That's all for now. Thanks everyone for your attention and support. See you in the following video.